Hi, are you looking to get pregnant? Are you in a couple and you're both working with prenatal health and wellness? Well, if so, you're in the right place. This series will help you with this journey. As an alkaline detox specialist, alkaline health coach, I've helped people really get to where they wanted to with this journey and in turn get pregnant and have a beautiful, healthy family. It is my wish that if that is your journey, that it all goes so beautifully and so well for you. As an alkaline health coach, I know that the very first thing we have to look at is the acid-alkaline balance and where the acids and toxins might be coming in from. What I always like to share with you is what we eat, drink, and breathe and put on our skin is how we take the outside chemistry in. So we need to look at all these areas. What are we eating? What are we drinking? What are we putting on our skin? I know in Toronto, Canada, one of the biggest issues we're seeing with women miscarriaging is because of the social drinking culture here. As women, we have a womb that cleans itself out once every month in our fertile years. So what is the issue? Why isn't the womb able to bring new life? Well, everything in the body connected to the lymphatic system, yeah? Have you learned much about the lymph system? If not, go back and check out some of my previous videos on that topic because everything is connected. So it's like a body of water moving through all the tissues, all the glands, the womb. These are all going to be affected by a stagnant lymphatic system. So if the womb cleans itself out every month and is still not a healthy enough environment for new life, then we have to really look at the lymphatic system. And that's why we need to look at where the acids and toxins are coming from, because this is what's clogging, creating stagnation in the lymph system. So this greatly impacts our health. And with drinking, I totally get it. It's a social lubricant. It helps me relax. It can lift my spirits at times, help me forget about my problems. I get it. It's just, when do we need to look at it in terms of how it's impacting one's health? And of course, a glass of wine with dinner or a nice beer with like a salty snack. I totally understand and I support that, especially wanting to help people find balance in their emotional health and their dietary health. I know alcohol can be helpful to a certain extent. But we know it's a poison. We know it's toxic. We see this when somebody drinks too much and they need to get their stomach pumped. Or at the minimum, the body will throw it up. So we look at the pH of alcohol, in terms of even just the most mild wine and beer, and these are 3.5, 4.5 pH. That's very, very hot chemistry. That's like chemotherapy hot, you guys. So one of the biggest things is cleaning that out of the system, not consuming so much alcohol. Yeah. And this is just one of the many culprits to creating an acidic and toxic environment within the human body. And the father has to be careful too. The father's not going to have the vigor in his sperm that an alkaline a man that's eating alkaline foods and leading an alkaline lifestyle, maybe yoga, meditation, time for contemplation, is going to have. So this man's sperm is going to have vigor, he's alkaline. There's just so much to be said about keeping an alkaline environment within our body. I know that on my healing journey, one of the biggest things I had to do was to create a new and healthy outlook of the body, understanding that the body is not the enemy. It is not throwing up the alcohol or causing pain in this area or that area because it's the enemy. It's actually doing me justice by doing these things. So these symptoms of poor health often point to where we need to improve in our choices, our wellness choices. I know when I have pain in one area of the body and then the next day it's in a different spot, it's basically just working its way out of the lymph system. That acid was so hot, so inflammatory, or that toxin, for example, it doesn't matter. They're both seen as acids in the body, toxins or acids. It's inflammatory. It's creating stagnation in the lymph system, ultimately, which negatively impacts the cells of the womb, for example. We're speaking about pregnancy, or, the cells of the man's reproductive areas, so all of this has to be taken into consideration. But yeah, developing a friendly and compassionate attitude toward one's body is going to help us tremendously in this life. This body takes us around this life. This body allows me to enjoy life, and it just brings my spirit from here to there. And so we know that they're connected, the spirit, the emotional body, and the physical body. Obviously, we can't live a life that is perfect, and nobody is perfect, but making this sort of progress in the direction of alkaline health and alkaline, and just overall creating this alkaline environment, this hydrated lymph system. Alkalinity is hydrating, so it's the opposite of acidity, which is very dehydrating and agglomerating. It sticks everything together and causes all this stagnation. So no judgment. Doesn't matter to me, or even should matter too much to you if once in a while there's some exposure to toxins. That's okay. But if overall it's to the point of self-harm, we really have to address that. And if there's an excessive amount of chemical exposure, for example, similar to consuming alcohol, somebody working in a nail salon, for example, and they're always inhaling these fumes, these toxic fumes, or somebody in construction, depending on what they're exposed to, or back in the day when we had asbestos in our homes, for example, or people worked in coal mines. This kind of thing, as an iridologist, I see in the iris as chemical deposits, and they show up in different areas of the body. So if we have these in certain areas, then those specific areas aren't functioning in the way they ought to be, their optimal functioning. If you're still having trouble and you're not really overly exposed to any of these chemicals, you may have to look at, are you drinking coffee, for example? Coffee is very acidic. Its pH of 1.2 can dissolve a nail. It's hotter than chemotherapy. This is a very acceptable drug in our culture. I personally love coffee, but I have to alkalize it, mixing it with alka-herb tea, or else I'll start to get acid in my stomach. And also, it can throw off my whole body's chemistry if I go too crazy with coffee. Many of you know I have a cacao ceremony guide. The link for the ceremonial cacao guide is found in my bio. It's a free download. It supported many people to come off coffee permanently, or at least on their healing journey or prenatal journey. Matcha tea can be a great substitute. It's never recommended to just go cold turkey off coffee, because there will be very heavy withdrawal symptoms. And a lot of people feel that their adrenal glands are just too burnt out, that they don't naturally produce that energy, that they need that external stimulant. So that's why with the cacao, the theobromine works similarly to caffeine in giving you that little jolt to your nervous system. And it has other benefits where it involves just like releasing very good feel-good hormones. And I know in Peru and in Mexico, the indigenous communities use cacao as a medicine ceremonially. It's a heart opener, and just really boosts the overall mood. So a lot of my clients have had success, as have I, where I've come off coffee for a while and used cacao. And that is a conversation that I usually have with you when you come to meet with me for your initial consultation, is just about where are the acids and toxins coming from. Another source could be the mind, the negativity of the mind. I don't know about you, but I struggled for many, many years with negative thinking, even upon rising. So I've had to use a lot of meditation and affirmations to get through that, because that negativity creates so much acidosis in the body. I've found group therapy to be very helpful. Some people really need a lot of talk therapy. They need either a good friend or a family member, somebody they really can trust, that they can open up to with some of these negative thoughts, and just share them without putting too much, emphasis that, oh, this is the reality. No, these are thoughts. Journaling can also be supportive. It's wonderful to just get them out of the system, whether it's creating them into a form on a piece of paper. Watching my thoughts show up as form in real life is pretty amazing. I often have writer's block, though, and resistance to doing this. I'm definitely more of a talker, as I think you can tell. But opening up to people who I trust is of the utmost importance. Someone that's not going to go and repeat what I've told them to somebody else. That trust and that safety is key to work through some of this negativity, because in chemistry, the negativity creates a lot of hydrochloric acid. So again, this is a very, very hot acid in chemistry, and we look at this as another huge culprit that's affecting men and women from getting pregnant. I include men in there because, of course, they're needed. So we need to really just look at where the negativity is coming from and see if we could do some of the things that make us feel happier, and just really finding joy in the small things, I know has helped me a lot, because I had to alkalize too. I didn't have a baby, but I had to heal from a C-spine injury that was a response of a traumatic event, another acidic event. Trauma is very acidic. So really just making sure that you're making space for yourself. You're finding time for rest, contemplation. I feel so much happier when I get that space for myself. And that happiness, you wouldn't believe how alkalizing that is. I know that when I haven't taken any space for myself and I've just been doing a lot of things for everyone else, or going to work and not really doing any of that self-care, that the little things in life, that are troublesome or challenging, they can really affect me a lot worse. And I can even treat others poorly because I don't feel well. Calming any worrisome thinking as well is very important for alkalizing the body. Worry and regret, anger, these kind of negative emotions do create a lot of that acidity that I was speaking about, usually in the form of hydrochloric acid. But regardless the type of acid, we're just needing to find a way to bring some positivity back and to get out of that constant negative mind stream. That might involve long walks in nature without my device. That always helps me in this way. I feel much more calm and connected to a power greater than myself. I connect to the energy of the trees, the natural sounds in nature, the birds chirping, the sound of the wind, the sound of the water, if there's some water around. These all lead to alkaline reactions within the body. Please keep your eye out for my next video in this prenatal series, where we'll discuss some of the ways to really up-level your mineral intake, to really oversupply the body with minerals, whether it's the father-to-be or the mother-to-be. And so I can't wait to dive into that a little more with you the next time. Thank you so much for being here. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me and or just pop anything in the comments below. Lots of love. Talk to you soon. Bye.